Hello, everyone, and welcome to Widecast's favorite show, as it's the only one running at the moment. Zealots, brought to you by South Philly Block Party, run by Jake Brown and his constituents. It is bringing you the best in Sixers fan gear. And Justin, thank you for joining me as always.
Of course.
We have quite the lineup for you today. But first, I'd like to make a dedication to Ed Snider, former Flyers owner, who had recently passed away. The man revolutionized sports entertainment as we know it. Not WWE, but like how we look at sports, how we experience sports. He essentially changed everything. He created the first ever sports-only radio station in WIP. He revolutionized how stadiums would manage things like sporting events, concerts, and other extra stuff that would go on, and essentially bring us the game that we love with Comcast Spectacor broadcasting sports games on television, being one of the first in a specifically syndicated area with Prism, and essentially revolutionizing how we look at sports. So before we talk any more about him, I would like to take this time to deliver a moment of silence. And to keep things going, Justin, I want you to know what type of impact Ed Snider's legacy has left on you as well as the entire city.
Ed Snider was by far one of the greatest owners in the NHL. He truly loved and cared about his players in the city of Philadelphia. He did so much for charity and truly wanted to make a positive impact on as many lives as possible. He would always find times for fans or anybody to greet him, to spend time with them, or sign any autographs for him. You remember the guy who got the S from the Spectrum? He was one of the first people to sign it, signed it right in the middle, and he was more than happy to do it, didn't ask for any compensation or anything, and just had a huge smile and even got a picture taken with it. Mm-hmm. He was a great man and will be greatly missed. May he rest in peace. Ed Snider truly is like everybody's grandfather.
He is we joke about Matt Dad Reed often,
Yep.
But Ed Snider is the father of Philadelphia sports. Without him, I mean, sure, the Eagles started earlier and they were okay and they won a championship in the 60s, but Ed Snider changed sports culture as a whole. Like, no man, I don't think, has been as significantly important to sports as he has in recent memory. Not even focusing on the way like games are played by players, like how we experience games is thanks to the man that we got to grow up with.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for us as fans, because, well, at least us, maybe not even us especially, but like older fans, because if they were born in like the 50s or 40s, then they grew up with Ed Snider. Yeah. They saw what happened to their city over the course of this time and how he essentially like changed their lives, and we just got to like experience it for the past like 1920.
And everything he accomplished through Ed Snider Youth Hockey by getting the kids out of inner city, making sure that they get to grow up playing the game that they love and keep them out of jail and give them a very good education.
And a lot of kids who have run through that program have spoken volumes about how great the program was and how much it meant to them because it helped their lives significantly. Like, yep. Ed Snider cared about almost everybody he came into contact with. If you watch like any of the documentaries that the NHL released over the last like 2 weeks, they talk about how loyal he was to people, how much he meant, and how much like he cared, and how personal he was with players. You can find pictures of him with other players, like from Bobby Clark with no shirt and a turtle-looking Bernie Perron on the back of a boat, to like with Claude Giroux, or like any story. Like,
I'd like to cite an example too. Mm-hmm. A couple of years back, they had a documentary with the Broad Street Bullies, and I forget which player it was, but he was tossed for something that was absolutely ridiculous. Ed Snider screamed at the official and came into the locker room and supported the player.
I want to say
it was Leclerc. That's who it was. And he said, "I will not let them treat my players this way." And he came in and comforted Leclerc and said, "I gave it to him. This won't happen to you again."
Exactly. And like I don't think there ever will be a personality like Ed Snider. And it almost worries me because he set the tone for the Flyers. Mm-hmm. He was the Flyers,
yep.
And I think they sort of played around the mentality that he carried with him every day. And I don't know where that'll go over the course of the next, I don't know how many years. While it sucks to see him go, his health was deteriorating, and
Yep. He had
over
cancer
time,
for the past couple of years.
and he hasn't been able to like move much. He's been in California for about almost a year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a matter of time, but I hope everything settles and eventually we'll have a new face of and maybe hopefully if it
Stays in the family.
stays in the family. One can only hope. But we're gonna stick on the Flyers, which is weird for us because we normally don't talk hockey until the end of the show, but I think we should specifically for today's show because we're still on the whole Flyers Ed Snider train. So last night we had the first Flyers game
We did.
of the series, and it was bad.
It was very bad.
It was awful, and
Yep.
I saw some specific performances I didn't like in terms of players. Voracek, I didn't think had a very whole game.
He had one good play.
And then he also had one really negative play where
Yep.
he gave up a goal.
Yep.
So it's not, and there's a lot. There's so much in this game. Let's hear what some of your thoughts on this, Justin.
I think there was an issue with Gostisbehere. I don't know if nerves got to him or something. I think it's probably just nerves being his first playoff game, but he made a lot of mistakes that he never makes. And it's not so much mistakes, it's just you did not notice him. I noticed Brandon Manning more than I noticed Gostisbehere.
That's not cool.
No.
I think the reason the Flyers may have looked, not even just Gostisbehere, but the entire team looked deflated was because they might just be tired. Like they think about the gambit they had to run to get to the playoffs, and how tiring and maybe even emotionally distraught some may be over the death of Ed Snider.
Yep.
So I mean, it might just be a culminating lack of energy that they're facing. I think everybody was just probably beat, and I don't want to say bench Voracek, but if he's hurt and he's playing like garbage and he's not going to do anything, I don't know what else you want to do. I mean, how can someone get going that's supposed to be like your best winger, the best winger on your team, the second best player offensively, and he's still not like on by the playoffs?
And now without Couturier,
that's another thing, that Couturier is out for the season. That hurt. Not even the season, all of the playoffs.
Yep.
The entirety of the play. So that even if the Flyers make it out of this round, they'd have to go. If the Penguins, I assume, rail the Rangers.
Yep, it's going to happen. Without Lundqvist, that team's nothing.
Then we're looking at a Flyers-Penguins matchup. The Flyers would maybe get out by the skin of their teeth without Couturier. And unless Lawton
needs to step up.
Unless Lawton becomes how I perceived him to be over the last 2 years, which is like a Jesus figure.
He can do it. He did it against the Islanders. If he keeps playing like that, and keep in mind, he's rested.
Yeah.
He is ready. He can perform.
We just got to see it happen. The only thing I don't want to see, I really, really don't want to see, I don't want to see Shen or Gagne centering line two.
No.
I think that's a terrible move. I know Lawton at the beginning of the year, he was playing center pretty well, and then by the middle of the season he kind of tapered off a little bit. Like he stopped playing well at center. He's losing more draws than like he could handle.
Yeah.
And they eventually converted him to winger, but like they need to do something with the fourth line too. Like I'm tired of the Untouchables line because they're garbage.
Yeah,
they're
not.
Other than Ryan White, who's been like a sort of like a diamond in the rough in that line, Van de Velde and Belmar are just bad. I mean, Belmar has had some decent penalty kills. But, like, there's a point.
Every time that line was on the ice, we were penned in our own zone last night. That cannot happen.
They don't play aggressively.
No.
And it's obviously not fun to watch, but I'm sure it's even worse to experience. So, I mean, I don't know what Hackstall likes to stick to his guns. But if they lose game 2, I think there might be a serious change.
With the injuries that happened, I think there's going to be a change regardless. I think Voracek comes off line 1.
Yeah.
And Shen goes up to line 1.
I want to see Shen, Simmons.
Yes.
Giroux. I don't know why we stopped using that line at one point. I mean, I kind of do. I think Hackstall wanted to get Voracek going after he came back from his injury, so we wanted to put him with Giroux. But obviously, things haven't been working for them. I mean, sure, you've had a few moments on the power play where they've done well, but even then, Voracek still kind of, like he's just missed important shots.
Yeah.
And I don't like to bash the guy. I really don't like to bash any of the Flyers, but when someone doesn't play well, you have to pick that up as a coach. So we'll have to see where that goes, but I think Lawton could fill in for
I absolutely think
for
Lawton,
Couturier.
he is a two-way forward.
I think when Lawton has had his chances this year, he's played well.
Absolutely.
When Lawton gets away from Matt Reed, it'll be a godsend. Because Matt Reed can play with Nick Cousins all day.
Yeah.
Nick Cousins can skate. Matt Reed
can shoot.
He's very meh, but he can shoot a
Yeah.
little bit. He just needs to pretend that the Capitals are the Maple Leafs and he'll score every game.
Yeah. That or the Islanders, because Matt Reed is a god against the Islanders.
I don't know why, those two specific teams, but he sure does love doing that to them. I don't know. I think there might need to be a tonal shift because also from last night, the Simmons fight. While I hate Tom Wilson, while he is a human garbage can,
Absolutely.
I think pulling a stupid fight like that, while it could provoke some energy, at the same time it also killed whatever momentum the Flyers had at that point in time, and then they got shut out. So I don't know. I think specifically you might want to look into being more disciplined.
I think Simmons knew, though, at that point, with the way the refereeing was going, there's nothing the Flyers could have done because they were kept in their own zone with penalties. We'll get more into the whole officiating as a whole later, but
I was actually going to ask if you want to get into the officiating right now.
I would love to.
Go for it.
Okay. First citation that I'm going to give.
Go for it.
And Tom Wilson hit on Andrew McDonald. Took more than four large strides, which qualifies as charging.
Okay.
Led with the elbow. Primary point of contact was the head. Boarding. All of these things go together. That would be a 5-minute major, a 10-minute misconduct, and would be reviewed by the league
For
as a suspension. 2-minute minor given for this, for boarding. Ridiculous. Hit on Shane Gostisbehere, does not have the puck, flattened against the boards. We get a penalty for it, for roughing. Simmons post-game, where's the rough? You can look at the video. There is no rough there. Gostisbehere was leveled and put on the ground. How could he possibly have roughed anybody?
Because he thought about it, and thinking about it is what gets you the penalty.
The
You
Couturier.
get 2 minutes for thinking, Shane.
The Couturier hit. Ovechkin led with the elbow.
A lot of people would say that was clean, though.
It's iffy.
I think
I can
it's
say
borderline
that
clean.
it's borderline clean, but it could have gone either way. With the way they were calling it, if you're going to call this stuff on the Flyers like that, you have to call it on the Capitals.
Right.
Now I'm going to jump in a Lightning game.
Go for
The hit on Cedric Paquette.
Oh, yeah.
Primary point of contact in the head, right into the glass. Should have been a 5-minute major, 10-minute misconduct, and then the suspension. The Manning delay of game penalty.
That was, I think,
That's ticky-tack.
that I think needs to specifically be changed in the rules.
Yes.
Where it says a penalty is only given on an attempted clear.
That was not a clear. By definition, it's intentional play of the puck out of game. Manning had his stick out, yes. It hit his stick, but that's the definition of deflection. He did not swing his stick. His stick was inactive, it hit his stick and went out of play. That is a deflection. I do not understand how that was a penalty.
And that penalty bit the Flyers, too.
Yeah.
That's essential. I think that's what killed the momentum. Like, the Flyers were starting to mount something there, and then that penalty happens, and then they get scored on again and lose.
Then go into the third period. Raffles in the offensive zone and has the puck. What do the Capitals do? They literally take the stick out of his hands and throw it to the corner boards. No call on any of that.
Amazing.
And then Matt Green hits Jonathan Drouin. Again, boarding type situation. No call.
Yeah, I saw that play too, and then Drouin stood up for himself.
Yeah.
And they gave a penalty to both, I think.
Last night, Sharks Kings. Quick makes an outstanding save.
Insane game, by the way.
Doughty makes a huge save in front of the net, but then he covers the puck in the blue paint with his hand. No call. That should have been a penalty shot. Blues game. Blues avoided so many penalties for interference and holding. And then when Seabrook does it, it's called. And then roughing calls that don't offset. If two players are punching each other, only one player gets the call. If two players engage in something, they both should be called.
It sucks to go back to this because this has been like the 4th or 5th week we've touched on this in a row.
It's ridiculous.
Sequentially. And the lack of consistency is still present. I don't understand why this is happening as often as it is.
And these are just the things that I remember off the top of my head. This is 2 days worth of stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's just a bunch of garbage. I don't know why the league conducts itself in such a way where this is the end result for games.
This can cost a team a game, which it cost the Flyers a game last night. It could easily cost a team a series if this stuff keeps up.
I don't know. I mean, if you're the NHL, I don't think they're really necessarily concerned because I think people are still watching games no matter what. Their audience is still drawing, but it's not necessarily the audience's concern. It's not our concern.
Right.
If you're a player or a coach or Ed Snider probably would have blown his top over this.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, this is some of the worst officiating we've seen.
This is the worst officiating I have ever seen. I've never seen it this bad. I will say in 2013. Wait, when did the Flyers last make the playoffs? 2013?
2014.
2014.
Against the Rangers.
2014, the officiating in the Lightning Canadian series was absolutely
Awful.
horrendous.
Awful.
But even that is not as bad as this has become.
It pales in comparison. Like, this current state of officiating in the NHL is the worst. I've never seen worse officiating. This is worse than the replacement refs for the NFL. Like, at least they had they knew, like, they made some bad calls. Like the one off the top of my head, I remember at the early beginning of the season, the Seattle Green Bay play where they dropped the ball and they called it a touchdown anyway. But this game is reliant on how a team operates when a man up. So if you I shouldn't say give is a poor turn of phrase. If you have a team with the opportunity to score a man up, and I know the Flyers had like 4 opportunities in the first period.
Right.
I think you need to capitalize on that, but the more chances you get, I think it was Bundy. Bundy made this point last night on the broadcast, like, oh, the more power plays the Capitals get, the faster they're going to get going. I'm like, yeah, no duh. But like when you give a team who, I think the refs tried to balance out the second
that's
period.
absolutely what it was. It's let's make it fair, let's make it even, make it like an even amount of power plays. But then it's like, okay, it's even. Now we have to, since the Capitals are the home team, we need to give them the home advantage and give them additional power plays.
I don't necessarily know about that, but it can definitely be viewed from that perspective.
Statistically, the home team gets 62.8% of the calls.
Oh, Jesus. I'd love to see the source, though.
I don't remember 100% of 62.8, but it is a higher percentage. You can Google it. I guarantee it. Like, this was like a league-wide study they've done for the past couple of years.
Okay. Well, I'll look into that, and we'll come back to that next week, because we're always going to be talking about officiating at this point.
I guarantee you we will have plenty to talk about with officiating.
I don't doubt it. Excuse me. Yeah, so that was so much fun. Great game. Fantastic. Steve, okay, we need to talk about some positives, because I think solely negative is not that good. Steve Mason, like,
he's better than Henrik Lundqvist.
Goalie dueling with Braden Holtby. Like, the Flyers goalie who about 3 months ago had a negative record.
Mm-hmm. You cannot fault him for either of the goals that happened last night.
He played amazing.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people who people who don't like Steve Mason are always not going to like Steve Mason. But how do you view, if he's going to put this up all series, he's basically been, I want to say, like, he's basically been like the Ducks tandem, where he has specifically outshined himself game after game and still loses because the team doesn't score. And I don't know what the Flyers have to do to fix that, but I know Steve in the long run is someone we can rely on. I think he's the guy for goalie, and it brings me pain when people are like, "Oh, we gotta put in Neuwirth. He's gonna take us to the promised land."
Yeah, seeing all those tweets last night made me pretty mad.
I just don't. I don't like to call people idiotic or stupid when it comes to like sports opinions, because they're all different. Everybody has a different opinion on a different thing. But when statistics are staring at you right in the face, and even if you watch performances, you know when a guy's good. And Steve, while he's not laterally quick, he's smart. He positions himself well and has gotten significantly better after getting more games. And that's how he is. When you give him games, he will play out of his mind, and he is.
Absolutely.
So I think Hackstall most likely right now has nothing to worry about for goalies, but needs to worry about scoring.
Yes. Also
putting in Evgeny Medvedev. For the love of Christ, keep Nick Schultz out of this lineup.
Nick Schultz had a strong game last night.
He did. But then again, I said that about McDonald when he played against the Caps the last time in the regular season. And then he likes to McDonald it up every once in a while.
He does.
So
he led the Flyers in plus minus, though.
At 0?
No, plus 10.
Wait, what?
Not
talking about McDonald?
regular season.
Oh,
the Flyers in plus minus with a plus 10.
Oh, never mind. I thought you were talking about last night. I'm like, hold up.
Yeah, no, not last night.
All right, so right into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Right now, we're a game deep for, I think, almost every team except for the Ducks, off the top of my head.
Yes, correct.
The Ducks and Nashville, and every other team
Has played at least
has
one.
played.
Yep.
So, Justin, we're going to run through the West, and then
Yes,
we're going to
sir.
run through the East,
Sounds Gucci.
and we'll see who meets in the middle. So, all right.
Alrighty.
First series, Dallas against Minnesota.
I think the new look Dallas Stars got the jerseys going for them.
Mm.
I mean, I guess they have Sagan and Ben. But
Well, they didn't have
that's-
Sagan last night. but
right.
They
And
still
they
still won.
Still won. I have Dallas winning in 6 games.
I have Dallas also winning, but in 5. I don't think Minnesota is pretty notoriously known for first round exits. So
Yeah.
see you next year, Minnesota.
Again.
Again. Series number 2 in the West, we have St. Louis and Chicago.
Blues always choke. Chicago always wins, so I have Chicago in 6.
Now, I have Chicago in 6 also. However, the game where they played 2 nights ago,
Yes.
where the Blues won in overtime, was crazy
It was crazy.
and awesome.
the
However,
ending was hilarious because
It
that was the
was.
worst goal I've ever seen.
it was a terrible angle shot from
Behind
David
the net.
Backus, from almost behind the net. It's
Yep.
basically on the line. And it hits Trevor Van Riemsdyk and goes between the pipes for in between Corey Crawford's legs.
He's elite. What can I say?
He is elite. Brian Elliott looking elite also.
Well, yeah.
With those blinding blue pads. Oh my God, he looks like a blueberry. He honestly does. He looks like. Do you remember this scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Yes.
Factory where she
Yes, I
blows
do.
up to a giant plum? I guess it is. That's exactly what it reminded me of. Poor Brian
I can
Elliott.
see where you get it from.
I mean,
Yeah.
second series, or not second, third.
Yep.
Anaheim and Nashville.
Nashville is good, but Pekka has
But
been
not
so
great.
inconsistent. Absolutely. Pekka's so inconsistent. I just don't think they can get it done. I think Anaheim takes it in 6.
I have the same exact thing. I trust that they do not pull out anything different. I think Anaheim gets a pretty clean series win here. And the fourth series, which just kicked off last night,
Great
is
game.
the
Absolutely
Kings
great
against the Sharks.
I have the Kings winning in 7 because I think history has a habit of repeating itself.
Also have the Kings in 7. I think the game last night I didn't get to catch a lot of, but what I did see was
So good.
amazing.
So good.
All right, to the second round of the Western Conference playoffs, we both have Dallas and Chicago meeting. Who do you have?
I have
moving on?
Chicago coming out on top because I don't think Dallas has the playoff experience that
Mm-hmm.
they need to go that deep.
But Dallas has Johnny Oduya.
They do, but they also have Fiddler.
Oh, they do have Vernon Fiddler. We'll see what happens. I think Chicago beats them as well, but it would be nice to see someone else.
It would be.
So I'm basically going to be rooting for St. Louis and Dallas and Anaheim because that's who also I have in the next series, which is Anaheim, Los Angeles,
Yep.
to bust my bracket. So, Justin, who do you have in L.A.?
I have Anaheim busting the Kings.
All right.
I think they're gonna do pretty darn well this year.
Mhm.
They found themselves. They battled back to get into a spot. Ended up with a 1 seed to play Nashville. So,
All they need to do is fire Bruce Boudreau, and everything's peachy keen.
yeah,
I hate him so much. He looks like a living egg. He
is
an
Eggman.
He is Eggman. And in the Western Conference Finals, we both have Chicago and Anaheim. Justin, who do you have?
I have Anaheim winning
Mm-hmm.
because Chicago. I mean, there comes a point where everything must stop.
Yeah.
And they got beat by the Kings conference finals a couple years back. I
Mhm.
think the Ducks are strong enough that they could beat them as well.
I honestly could see that also. I mean, it could go either way. The
Absolutely.
series last year was crazy. Every
It was.
game was almost always an overtime 1-goal game. Stunk to see Anaheim lose because I would have loved to have seen
Yep.
them.
I had the Ducks winning the cup last year.
It almost makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we got to see Chemo Tiemann raise a cup.
Mhm.
And a lot of people hate that, but they're also very negative, pessimistic people. He is Finnish dad. Now I also had Chicago. I have Chicago beating Anaheim, but I want to see Anaheim make it. But I didn't want to go too biased
I got you.
because the left side's a lot more biased, or the right side's a lot more biased than the
I have
right.
the same problem.
Okay. So We're gonna start from the bottom. We're gonna leave the Flyers
If it
last.
makes you feel better, in my other bracket, I have 2 brackets. In my other bracket, the only thing I changed was the cup winner.
All right.
I mean, not the cup winner, the final.
All right.
Just in the West.
Okay, so. Oh, jeez. I got to get it out of my system. So, in the East, the first series we have is Detroit and Tampa Bay.
Yes, we do.
Who do you have?
I have Tampa.
Okay.
They wiped the floor with Detroit last year. I think they're going to do the same thing this year in 6 games.
I loved watching the first. I actually got to catch the entire
I did
first
as well. It
game
was a
of the series.
fantastic game.
Amazing game to see the Bolts come back while down
Yep.
2-1 and end up winning 3-2. I love seeing Nikita Kucherov
That
play.
guy's fantastic.
He's amazing. He's a weapon. And it's nice to see Tyler Johnson finally wake up. Rest in peace, Matt's fantasy hockey team, because he did nothing for him in the regular season. I picked Detroit to win in 7, but at the same time, I don't care. So screw the Red Wings.
Uh-huh.
I hope they lose. In the second series, we have the Florida Panthers and the Islanders. Justin,
This was very tough for me because both teams have not made it to the second round in 10-plus years. I went with Florida just because I feel that they have a better full picture than the Islanders do, with Luongo as their backstop as opposed to Grice. Since Halak is not there. But I still had the series going to 7 games.
it's a very difficult series to pick because, especially if you watched last night's game,
Yes.
where Florida folded under the pressure, and even with 2 goals from Jimmy Hayes, they still lost in overtime. So, not too good of a start, but I still think the Panthers win in 6. I think it'll be a very entertaining series. In the series above it, we have Pittsburgh and the Rangers.
Originally, I thought this was going to go to 7 games, but honestly, this might be a 4 or 5.
This might be a sweep.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is a sweep.
The Rangers, they don't care.
No.
They're not playing like they care.
They don't, and they're garbage.
Yeah.
They're trash. They're gonna get steamrolled.
And they're so good at playing. The Rangers are so good at playing. They injured their own goaltender.
Yeah, they hurt. If for those who might have missed it, if you are living under a rock, Mark Stahl, at one point
Pirate Ice Stall.
tried to. Jesus, why am I yawning so much? Tried to clear a puck and accidentally shoved his stick through the mask of Henrik Lundqvist and literally poked him in the eye. And then Lundqvist left for Antti Raanta to be like, yeah, remember that time I had like 4 really good games in the postseason for the Blackhawks? Let me show you why I shouldn't be doing that anymore. And then he lets up 4 goals. One really good one to Crosby on a breakaway where Crosby just he just slams that into the back of the net.
The majority of them were very, very bad and very stoppable, though.
Yeah, like any of the Patrick Hornquist goals, really. And then he gets a hat trick in the last one on the empty netter, which shouldn't be allowed, honestly, but they gave it to him anyway because, we're Pittsburgh. We like to give a medal to everybody. Yep. I have Pittsburgh winning in 7. It could very well be a
I
sweep.
have the same thing.
It could very well be a sweep. And last but not least, Flyers, Capitals.
I have the Flyers in 7. I feel and felt that with Ed Snider passing, all the players want to dedicate their playoff run to him. So
I think it's very possible. I think the Flyers could very well edge out 4 of the next 5.
I think they regroup. I think tonight, Simmons and Giroux.
Oh, wait, are they playing tonight?
No, I think tonight they're going to have the leaders in the locker room are going to call a team meeting, have a little rally to get everybody pumped up. I think you're going to see a very different Flyers team come out on the ice.
Oh, I hope
tomorrow
so.
night.
I want to see some angry Giroux clap bombs from the wheel. That's all.
I want to see something 32 seconds in.
The shift round 2, he just rails Ovechkin, takes it to the house. If only. On to the second round for the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
We're going to start from the top, go down.
All right.
Philly, Pittsburgh.
Philly. It's Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We own them. Yes, we lost them a couple times this year. But I think with the last win of them, I think we'll get right back in their heads. Everybody knows in the playoffs, especially the second round, Fleury will be back. And that is when Fleury will be Fleury and the flower will wilt as it always does.
As it always does and always will in the playoffs. I also have the Flyers winning. If we had to put a number on it, I would have said 5 or 6.
I would say 6, yeah.
If we're going to play safe here, because I'm not leaning towards a sweep with this team. The second game in the Eastern Conference, we have Detroit and Florida.
Well, I had Tampa, but
Oh, right. Well,
Yeah.
I had Detroit, Florida.
Yeah.
You had Detroit or Florida, Tampa.
I have Florida losing. I just don't think they have the
Interesting.
experience to go that deep. And the Lightning, they have a lot of experience with the playoffs, and I feel they have a better lineup and greater depth.
Right. I would think so too. I have Detroit beating
Yeah.
Florida. Detroit isn't significantly deep, but they do have some good depth players where
Right.
they need it.
Right.
I think they would probably beat Florida in like 5
Yeah, I can see
if I had to
that.
put a label on it. But I don't have Detroit going much farther after this round anyway. So in the Eastern Conference Final, you have Philly, Tampa.
I do.
I have Philly, Detroit, and
I have Philadelphia winning.
I have Philadelphia winning also.
I feel that, first of all, we took it to Tampa
Yeah, we did.
this year.
We gave it to them. We
So-
showed them what Braden Coburn and Hot Carl really can do when they're on the ice. Not very well, apparently.
Ghost will have a hat trick in that series.
Oh my
Mark
God,
my
that is
words.
a blazing hot take. That is a Matt hot
He
take.
scored 2 at the game I was at against Tampa. I feel he could have gotten 3.
We'll find out. I have, as I said, Philly beating Detroit.
Yep.
I think that would be an interesting game, but as of recently, we've beaten Detroit worse than we have some other teams. So I think we definitely could. And in the finals, I have Chicago, Philly.
I have Philly winning the cup.
I have Philly winning the cup also. What did you say for your goals scored in final series?
I said 38.
Okay.
I feel
That's
it's going to go to 7.
That's pretty extreme.
I feel it's going to go to 7.
All right.
And I feel by that time the Flyers will have it rolling. And I know the Ducks put them up. And I know the Flyers have the ability to put them up because they're one of the top scoring teams by the end of the year. So I feel it can go to 38 goals.
I said 24
Okay.
total goals. I think the game goes to 6. So that averages about out like 4 goals a game. Whereas Snoop Dogg, who made his bracket, I think he picked like the Kings and I think he picked the Capitals maybe or something. And he had like 42 goals being scored that series. So at a 7-game series, you're scoring 6 goals a game. And the Kings are not scoring 6 goals a game.
Yeah.
And they're not having 6 goals scored on them. So that I've seen a lot of the celebrity brackets are kind of ridiculous. But that's just kind of what happens when you're a celebrity and you just got like, oh, I gotta make a guess. Damn, I'll just put this down.
You said 42, right?
He said 42.
42 without a 0 is 420. That's probably why he picked 42.
God damn it. Maybe.
It's Snoop Dogg. I wouldn't doubt it.
You can't leave that option out, honestly. Okay. And we're gonna move right along. One
Sounds
second,
good.
as we're transitioning to. Okay. So tell me about your experience at the Villanova celebration parade.
It was something Philadelphia needed very, very much.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I could say 98% of the people there were bandwagoners and just wanted something to celebrate, me included. The way they did the parade is they had like the band and they'd have like stuff and people related to Villanova on top of
The
vehicles.
band and then stuff.
So like there were people who came out on top of this one bus and we all started cheering because we thought it was Villanova players. It was not Villanova players. It was just people from Villanova.
just people on
So
a
we're
bus.
like, oops. And then fire trucks came out with people on them and we're like, okay, this is definitely Villanova. So we cheer for them. That wasn't Villanova.
Just
And then
people
these
on
like
fire
really
trucks.
fancy buses come out and they had the trophy. So that's how we knew that was the Villanova team.
I mean, third time's the charm.
Yep.
At that point,
But the stupidity was
at all-time high.
at a all-time high. People climbed on top of like the wooden SEPTA things. There were like 20 people standing on top of that. And then a couple people started getting the bright idea, hey, if we climb the porta potties, we could stand on top of the glass roof of the subway entrance and get an even better view. So then the police had to come over and be like, hey, that roof is not rated for people. If you stand on it, you will die. Get off.
Please.
And then there were just some other stupid people. One kid popped Molly and then immediately
And then started
regretted it
sweating. Woo.
and tried to throw up. No, he immediately tried to throw it up. He's like, oh, I got to get it out. I got to get it out. And then,
You idiot. Why did you do that in the first
yeah.
place?
Then some kid got stuck in a tree.
As it were.
And then another kid got stuck on a pole.
I mean, do we expect anything different?
No.
I wouldn't either, to be honest. I'm glad I
That's
didn't
about
go, personally. I like the fact that Nova won. I'm glad we can celebrate a Delco University winning a state, not even a state, a national championship.
Yes.
But after that, I don't care. It's college sports. I'm not a huge fan of college sports. I love commentating college sports. Like I love doing that for Widener, but I do not follow college sports religiously. It's a little too tasking for me. But that's just because I actually do like the sports program here. Oh my God. Someone bring me coffee or something because I'm dead.
Should have gotten free coffee from Free Coffee Day.
And waited until today to drink it?
Iced coffee, dude.
I don't like iced coffee. Not a
Put it in the
fan.
microwave, dude.
Go to the microwave.
Yeah.
Go
Nuke it.
to the mic. Yeah, so I can have the cup like burst mid
And
microwave.
you sue Wawa for having it too hot after it came out of the microwave.
Great, cool, fantastic. Let's see here. All right, two things, and I think we're done for now.
All right.
So we have Tatar locking himself
That was
out of his
hilarious.
house.
Yes.
All right, so explain
So-
this.
I don't know. It didn't say how he locked himself out of his house, but somehow he locked himself out of his house and he had to call the fire department.
Right.
And when the fire department got there, apparently they just started laughing. Got him into his house.
Can you blame him though?
No. And then he signed a jersey and gave it to everybody
Oh my God.
who like responded to his house. So that was pretty cool.
Good for them? Question mark.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like civic duty. Here's something you're most likely going to sell on eBay
Yeah.
or not. I don't know. Not my call, but
You know,
a goofy
what they wanna
story
do.
nonetheless.
Yeah. Funny stuff.
Mm-hmm. And another apparently funny thing: Nicholas Backstrom almost crying after beating the Wild. Explain. I don't know what
He was. So I think it was Calgary. I think was it? Hold on, let me find it.
Yeah. It was against Calgary,
He brings them.
or it was.
He
with
was Calgary. Yeah, Calgary signed him on. He played an outstanding game.
Yeah.
But he was like very, very emotional after beating them. I just thought it was like a feel good type story.
Mhm.
Having someone who's been out of it for so long, being able to come back and play a stellar game and defeat his former team.
I feel bad for him in a way because he's always had considerably nagging injuries.
Yeah.
As between him and Josh Harding.
Yeah.
Remember Josh Harding? He was relevant like last year until David Dubnyk's like, "Hey, I win game."
I think his MS got worse too,
it did.
and that's why he can't play anymore.
It's awful because
Yeah.
he was a good guy and I loved watching him play. And I'm kind of a Wild fan to a degree. I do like some of their team. Like I'm a big fan of Mikael Granlund. Awesome player. Should be a great replacement for Mikko Koivu whenever he decides to hang him up. But it's kind of nice to see Nick Backstrom kind of get something out of this. He's been like on and off the ice for injury for so many years now, and letting him have his moment is kind of nice, even if Calgary doesn't make it.
I'm hoping Calgary keeps him on next year.
Back up.
Give him a shot. Yep.
I mean, hell, Jonas Heller's not going to do you too much anymore. He's garbage. He's officially ran his course.
They need to fix their goaltending over the
Yeah.
summer.
I mean, Hiller probably would have been the answer more years ago if they traded him earlier, but
It's too late.
the Ducks got what they got and they ran with it. Good for them. My team, my backup, anyway. And I guess in one more thing we can talk about the Phillies, where baseball season is in almost full effect now.
Yes,
I think they're like 10 games into the season. They're 5-5, and they're nowhere near the worst team in the league, like a lot of websites predicted them to be. Suck it, Atlanta and the Twins, who I think are both still winless at this point in time.
I think so.
So they can shove it. I hate them so much, and I hate analysts who will knock down the Phillies for appearing bad, minus the one guy who got suspended for PEDs, or like Dan
Yeah, I
Strumpf,
saw that.
who like a
Never heard of
a
him.
real who cares of suspensions. I think the Phillies have been good.
They've been playing very well.
They've been entertaining.
Their pitching has been fantastic.
The one guy they had pitch yesterday who pitched like the entirety of the
Yeah.
shutout, who threw like all but maybe like 3 strikeouts. Like the dude was crazy. Like the Phillies are entertaining to watch, at least again. And it feels
no,
nice.
ticket prices are going to go up.
Yeah, get them while they're hot.
Yep.
Oh, what's it called? I mean, we're halfway through April now, but at one point there was a sale where you could buy like $50 worth of tickets, and it gave you access to like all the games in April.
Wow.
Every game in April.
Wow.
And we're only halfway through.
That's crazy.
And I don't think that's still going on now. You probably had to purchase them ahead of time.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I don't know why I'm yawning. But ahead of time. But I think it's been I think it'll be a good year for the Phillies.
I think they're going to be a bubble team. I don't think they're going to make it. I think they're going to be
hell
like
no.
I think they're going to miss it by like 8 to 10 points. I think it'll be close.
I think maybe a little more than that.
A little more than that.
But I think they might be strong opportunists after the All-Star break.
Mhm.
if they continue to still play relatively decently, but we'll have to see where it goes. Because you never know with Philadelphia teams.
Very, very true. Got
So-
one more thing.
Oh, yeah.
You hear about what happened in Russia?
What happened in Russia?
So a certain somebody was scratched for the playoffs because they showed up to the game drunk.
Kovalchuk?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. Is he done? Did he get cut?
He didn't get cut. He just got scratched for the game.
Damn.
That happened last night.
How much you want? That's awful. I don't like hearing about stuff like that. Like, I think player off the ice issues should be helped and dealt with, and when a
Yep.
team doesn't, it looks really bad for them. At least it should, I think, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
You can't let that happen.
No.
Especially to a guy who basically like is your entire team
Yeah.
by name.
Jersey's still paying him, so.
Yeah, I mean
You know.
he's fine, but like it's the same thing with Mike Richards. Like you got to help the dude out where you can.
I think he did get the help he needed.
I think so too.
Good on him.
Richards anyway. See what it does. See what the yawning does.
It happens, dude.
I'm so
You got me,
tired.
dude.
I need to pass out for like the next 3 hours. But yeah, I think stupid alcoholism.
Yep.
You can't let a player like that do that
Nope.
to himself. So hopefully he gets the help he needs, like Richards did. Maybe if he comes back with Alexander Radulov, who is coming back, he's confirmed coming back.
I don't think Kovalchuk's coming back.
I hope he does. I want him to. I want him to be on the Flyers so bad. Please. He's probably going to play like fourth line minutes, but who cares? He'd be better than Belmar. He'd be better than Belmar.
Kovalchuk White Vandeveldy.
Or Jordan Wheel, if you will.
Yes.
We need more Jordan Wheel, honestly.
We do.
In the game against the Islanders
He deserved a goal. He got so close he hit the pipe.
makes me sad
Yep.
every time. But I think we might have to call it quits for today. We've run the gambit here,
Yes, sir.
almost clocking in at
Yes, sir.
40, a little over 48 minutes. We had a pretty good show today.
We did.
And minus a slight delay while I had to
trouble.
Yeah.
But
aside from that, I think we had a pretty good show today.
I think
So I hope everybody has an enjoyable weekend. Hopefully this does go up Friday as we're currently at 12:42 in the afternoon. So on this beautiful jet.
Oh, speaking of Jordan Wheel, happy birthday, Jordan Wheel.
Oh, happy birthday, Jordan Wheel. So as I learn how to speak English again, on this beautiful day from Chester, Pennsylvania, from Sports Zealots to any listener who may be listening to this in the future, I hope you've had an enjoyable time listening in and an enjoyable rest of your day. And if you want to leave the listeners with some words, Justin.
Make sure you're watching Game 2. Get any of your superstitious stuff.
Ready.
Break out your underwear that you've worn for 1975. When we won the cup, get that out. We need it.
Mm-hmm.
Get us a W. Win for Ed.
Oh, and screw you, Pittsburgh. You
Yes,
scumbags.
your fans are terrible people.
And we'll see you guys next time.